There's something for everybody's taste, I feel like.
Oh, holy night.
That is so funny.
This is it.
Hey everyone, my name is Jake, and welcome to the 41st episode of Good Timin. As always on this podcast, we're going to be talking about one of our favorite bands, the Beach Boys. And today's episode is going to be a pretty fun and festive one because we're going to be covering the Beach Boys Christmas album from 1964. So, as usual with our album discussion episodes, we're first going to go over the history of the album and talk about how it came together. And then we will discuss each of the tracks one by one and share our own thoughts and opinions on them. And then after this, we will also discuss a few other Christmas-related recordings from the Beach Boys. And then to close out the episode, we're going to have a bit of fun and do our mini Christmas album draft, where we will each select songs from any band or artist of our choosing to make up our own fantasy Christmas compilation. So that should be pretty interesting. So joining me for today's episode, I have my good friends, Riley and Matt. So as always, I'm happy to have you guys here, and I'm looking forward to discussing the Christmas album with you both tonight. So before we get into the Christmas album's history and track list, do you guys have any general thoughts on the record?
Man, I'm actually not like the biggest Christmas music fan, but this one works. I think it works way better than it should on paper because it's like the Beach Boys doing a Christmas album is like probably the most like cliche marketing like commercial thing they could possibly do, even more than Summer in Paradise. But like they did it, and I think what makes it work ultimately is Brian took it so fucking seriously that it just came out to be easily my favorite Christmas album next to Spectre's. You have a whole side of originals that I think each are on their own are fantastic. I think there's one clear standout, but I think the others are still pretty damn good Christmas songs. And in some weird way, it also just shows Brian still evolving as a producer. Like oddly enough, he evolved as a producer going into the more today territory with a Christmas album, which I think is pretty funny. And there's some more history to it that I'm sure I can get into when we start talking about the actual history of the album. But dude, it's so fucking good. I love the Christmas album. I think it's fantastic. I can't rank it amongst like the other material, but it's very fun. It's very good.
hmm Yeah, I think it's a really, really great Christmas album. It's definitely one of my favorites. I'm a big Spectre Christmas fan too. This actually was, believe it or not, I think the first Beach Boys album I had on CD. When I first started getting into them, I bought this one because I definitely liked Christmas music a lot more when I was older. As I've gotten older and a little bit more cynical, maybe I don't listen to as much as I used to, but I still, and I never worked retail. I mean, I worked retail, but I didn't work retail super heavily during Christmas. So it never like, I know a lot of people say like you work retail during Christmas, you'll get sick and tired of the music, but that never happened to me. So I still quite enjoy Christmas music. And this is definitely a really great album. And yeah, I think it's got some really, like I said, the originals are spot on. The covers are pretty solid. And I think you make a good point, Riley. I think it's, in my opinion, I always kind of consider Chris albums as kind of separate from the rest of an artist's discography. It's kind of hard to objectively rank them or subjectively rank them just because it's kind of, a little off kilter. But I definitely think this is a great showcase for the harmonies. Definitely, you can hear it's definitely Brian, as you said, stepping up as a producer. Though I will say, I do wonder how this would have sounded if he actually did the orchestral arrangements because they were done by Dick Reynolds, not by Brian. So I'm assuming that was probably somebody, I don't know much about him, but I'm assuming he was just somebody that worked for Capitol. I know Capitol was famous for having a lot of orchestral heavy stuff. I mean, you had like Sinatra, you had Nat King Cole, they had Liza Minnelli around this time, and her music was very heavily with the orchestra stuff, Judy Garland. So, I wonder how it would have sounded. I think it could sound even better, but as it is, I think it's a really nice Christmas album and definitely one of the best rock Christmas albums out there.
Yeah, for me, I think it's a pretty solid album for what it is. It's definitely better than a lot of other Christmas albums that artists have put out. I'm with Matt, though. I would have liked to have heard what this would have sounded like had Brian done all the production on this, especially on those like Christmas standards that are featured on the second half of this album. Yeah, compared to Spectre's Christmas album, I don't think that this compares to that. I think that that's definitely a better produced album. But that said, I do enjoy quite a few of the originals on here. I think that the covers are, for the most part, well done. I think the arrangements do suit the songs pretty well. And yeah, I think in terms of a Christmas album, I think you could definitely do worse than this. So I think there's a lot of fun songs on here. And yeah, I'm looking forward to talking about it. So, all right. So Riley, do you want to give a little bit of the history and background behind the Christmas album?
So the Beach Boys in Christmas music actually goes back to 1963 when Brian rewrote, kind of rearranged a little bit of Little Deuce Coupe to become Little Saint Nick. There's actually a version of it where like I think Murray's playing the mallet, which I think is pretty funny and it's like very prominent in the song if you really listen to it. I think it's pretty cool. That was like the 1963 single. I think it was back to the Lord's Prayer. Nate would be able to correct me on that.
It is.
Um, and then holiday season came around in 1964, and of course, with the Beach Boys, they have to keep producing record after record after record. So Capitol thought they should produce an album for the Christmas season, and that's what they did. They released a Christmas album. Brian took this very seriously, as he did with damn near anything he did. He didn't arrange it, but he did produce. He actually got Dick Reynolds, the guy who arranged the Four Freshmen, to do a lot of the orchestral backings, especially for the traditionals holiday songs they did for side two. But side A was left to completely original Christmas songs written by Brian and Mike, which is really cool. But that's pretty much it. It was kind of released as like a holiday record for families to get for like their kids or something. It wasn't really treated as like a commercial, not a commercial. It wasn't really treated as like a real release. I mean, it is in the Beach Boys canon, but it wasn't treated as like the next big album by the Beach Boys. It was just the Beach Boys Christmas album.
Hmm.
You actually have, I'm pretty sure, Al Jardine's first lead vocal on a song on Christmas Day. But other than that, I mean, it's just a pretty standard Christmas album. It has a couple of originals and a lot of traditional stuff.
A half and half. Yeah, it even says right here, Al Jardine's first recorded solo as a Beach Boy. They even put that in the marketing.
Yeah, I also wanted to mention that the album was recorded in a very short period of time as well. I'm pretty sure it was all recorded in like June of 1964, I want to say. It was like over the course of like a couple of weeks. So definitely done pretty quickly by Beach Boy standards. So
Well, I mean, a lot of it I know was because the orchestral arrangements were not done by Brian; they were done by Dick Reynolds. So I'm
Dick
sure like,
Reynolds, right?
saved
Yeah.
a lot of time because you would just record them probably in the Capitol Tower, and then they just laid the vocals on top.
All right, so I guess we can get into the track by track rundown now. So we will open up with the most well known song from the album, Little Saint Nick. So this is one of my favorite early 60s Beach Boys songs and one of my favorite Christmas songs ever. I think it's an amazing song. It has a really catchy and infectious melody. I love the fun lyrics sung by Mike. And yeah, I just think it's a really great song. I love the group harmonies as well, especially during the Run Run Reindeer section where you can really hear Brian's falsetto. I've always really liked that a lot. And yeah, I just think it's a Christmas classic that perfectly captures both the holiday spirit and the Beach Boys sound at the time. And I think musically, it's a pretty interesting song as well. If you like watch people do covers of this on the piano, there's some really cool like chord changes happening. So I really enjoy this song a lot. So
I mean, it's a Christmas classic. It's become a modern Christmas classic. It's a great song. I think it's kind of a rewrite of Little Deuce Coupe, right? It,
Yeah, but I never really looked at it.
me neither. Me neither. I think it's different enough where it doesn't really come
yeah.
up.
I mean, I like it better than Little Deuce Coupe. Not that I
Yeah.
dislike it, but I like this better. It always puts me in the spirit. It captures like that energy that they had at that time, but also I think just it captures a really nice, festive energy in general. But yeah, it's just a classic.
Spoiler alert, this is a yeah, you know what I'll say? This is my favorite Christmas song of all time. I'm a big fan of it. I think the rewrite comes not so much in the song, like the chord progression, but more so the general beat of the song, the kind of boogie woogie beat to Little Deuce Coupe. And I think they kind of did like the dun 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 part, but the chord change is different enough that it's a completely new song. I love the harmonies on it. I love like Brian's falsetto on it. I think it's Mike gives a really cool vocal. It's one of those perfectly constructed songs. I honestly, the only complaint I have with it is I wish it was a little bit longer. I wish they kind of added some sort of like bridge or some sort of like middle eight or something.
The funny thing is, it does have one. It just goes by so quick. It's the Run
Yeah,
Run.
like I never really notice it in the song. Like I'll hear it and like by the time I'm like I actually notice that in the song, it's just kind of over. I
Yeah.
wish either like extend it, get like a middle 16, something. Dude, yeah, I love this song. I love harmonies, the chord progressions. I love the that hook in the song is honestly one of Brian's greatest hooks of all time. It's just And this is always something I look forward to listening to. Like, dude, it'll be like November 20 something. I'm like, 6 more days till I can listen to Little Saint Nick by the Beach Boys because I want to listen to it. I get so excited to listen to this song. It's the first Christmas song I play every time, like December 1st hits.
All right, so the next track on the Christmas album is The Men with All the Toys, which I would say is probably like the next best known original on the album. I believe it was released as a single.
Mhm.
I think this is a solid song. There's some elements of it that I like quite a bit. I really like the little guitar part that's played during the verse section. And I also really like the pre-chorus a lot, like the "a big man in a chair." I really like that a lot. I think Brian's vocal is really good on that, and I really like the group harmonies too. That said, I do have to say I'm not the biggest fan of the bop backing vocals. I'm okay with them a little bit, like when they first come in, but like the fact that they go on the rest of the song after the first verse, I kind of wish that they had dropped that or like replaced it with something else because it does start to get on my nerves a little bit. That said, though, I do enjoy the song. I do think it's a solid track and it has enough charm for me that I do come back to it from time to time. But I also wouldn't say it's like a highlight of the Beach Boys' early catalog by any means. So, fun song, but I wish they maybe reworked it a little bit.
It's funny you don't like the bach because I actually quite like those. I think
Yeah,
it's
Oh, okay.
man, I do. I
really
love
like
mix.
the backing vocals. But yeah, I think it's a very charming song. Another short song, which honestly, like most of the songs on here are pretty short as far as the originals go. But I'm cool with that because they zip by. I like Brian's falsetto. He's got a nice falsetto on this. I also like the what is that instrument? It kind of I don't know if it kind of sounds like maybe it's the guitar. It's like it kind of sounds like a keyboardy sounding instrument in there. I don't know what it is. Unless I'm thinking of a different song, but whatever. I like the backing track. But yeah, very charming song. I think it's a cool concept for a song too. And yes, it was released as a single. But yeah, very very charming. Nice song.
I think this is another one where it's like I really love this one. I love everything about it. I think the songwriting is there. Obviously, Brian's falsetto kind of carries this one. That part is so cool.
Yeah.
It kind of succumbs to just being too damn short. Like by the time it's like I'm really getting into it, it's over. I don't know, maybe add like another verse. Is there a middle eight in this one? I don't think there is.
Not really. No, no.
Another case of where it's like more of a middle four rather than like a middle eight.
Yeah.
I think maybe just because of the Rush release, maybe they kind of couldn't really add too much to this one. But I think this one it is again holiday classic. I know this one from my childhood, but I really wish there's more to it because it is really good.
Did you ever hear this on the radio, or you just knew it from the CD?
Oh, oh my God. I knew this one from the radio
Really?
because I knew this one and I knew Little Saint Nick from the radio too. Because by the time my dad got like the his like high tech truck and shit, he had like Sirius XM. He would go to the Holiday Classics station more often than like the newer holiday music. And I remember hearing all my favorite like Christmas songs from there. I heard a lot of Spectre on that one. I heard John Lennon's Happy Xmas War is Over.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew Little Saint Nick from that. And I definitely knew this one from the radio. This one was played quite a lot.
That explains it. I never was listening to Sirius XM. I would just listen to the local radio station, which is owned by, I think, Clear Channel, and they certainly were never playing this. Little Saint Nick, yes, and a couple. Like, I know Frosty the Snowman, and I think I heard Santa Claus is coming down, but never, ever, ever did I hear the man with all the toys.
Oh my God, dude. I heard this one all the time. I think I heard this one maybe more than Little Saint Nick, honestly.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. Well, again,
I
I
don't
grew
know.
up.
Holiday classics is a weird channel, man. I heard some holiday classics that weren't really classics. You just like they're like Christmas songs from like 1933, and it's like the most like strange shit you'll ever hear.
Is it stranger than the Beach Boys '70s Christmas album?
Yes.
Maybe.
Stranger Than Childs of Winter.
We don't talk. We're not talking about that.
Oh, come on, Jake.
Yeah, yeah, we can get into it. So track 3 on the Christmas album is Santa's Beard. So this one's interesting musically. I actually think this is one of the more memorable songs on the album. I think it has a really catchy and fun verse melody. I also really like the chord progression during the chorus, like that kind of descending, like the "Is that really Santa? Really, really Santa?" It almost has kind of like an unsettling, intense sound to it, which I really like. It's kind of funny because in contrast to like the lyrics, which are like very kind of silly and goofy, you have this really kind of like creepy sounding descending chorus. But I think it really works. I also really like Mike's lead vocal on this. I think does a good vocal delivery. And I also like that little guitar solo that kind of sounds like Jingle Bells. I think that was a cute little addition as well. So, yeah, overall, I think this is a pretty cool song. Again, not something that I really consider essential listening from the band. And it's not something I come back to outside of the holidays, but I do think it's a cool track. So what do you guys think of Santa's Beard?
In a nutshell, cute. I think it's a very cute song. I know that there's a picture out there of like a very young Brian, Carl, and Dennis meeting Santa, and I think it looks like Dennis is about to pull off Santa's beard in that picture.
Shocker.
So I wonder if that was the inspiration for this song, but I just think it's a very charming song, and I think it's just like a really like it's cute. It's very cute. I agree with everything you said. Mike does a really good vocal on it. I even think like he kind of captures like the pain and the frustration a little bit well that like the obviously the brother is experiencing. So it's like in his eyes you could see he was hurt, and yeah, I just it's a really charming song, and like you said, there's a really cool discordance between the lyrics, which are pretty like carefree and upbeat and cheery, and like the melody, which is a bit like haunting sounding, but
Mm-hmm.
really really fun, cute song that I always enjoy listening to.
Yeah, I mean, this was one of the ones that shocked me when I kind of re-listened to the album a couple of years ago. It's very strong musically. I like the theme. I think this is a really cool concept for a Christmas song of like a little kid seeing Santa. It's like, that's not Santa Claus. And
Mhm.
we all kind of had one of those moments. I know I sure did as a kid. I remember my brother actually, funnily enough, if you think I'm funny, my brother's about 10 times funnier than me. Yeah, it's not Christmas, but like when he was really young, he's like, "Hey, Dad, why is the Easter Bunny wearing Jordans?"
I wouldn't even notice
So
that.
like that song always reminds me of that. I think it kind of showcases the Beach Boys humor combined with the Christmas. Really, really good idea for a song. And I think only the Beach Boys could really do a song like this.
Yeah.
And the music's very strong. I love the chord change on it. I think it's really cool. Really strong song, and I'm kind of surprised that this one wasn't more popular because I feel like this is
Mm-hmm.
very strong.
All right, so moving on to track four, we have "Merry Christmas, Baby." So re-listening to this one for the first time in a while, I honestly kind of forgot that like the lyrics of this song are not happy at all. Like it's pretty much about like a guy trying to convince his wife not to leave him and to come back for the holidays. So that's something that I kind of forgot about until I re-listened to this. Musically though, I do think this is a pretty solid song. I do like the vocals on it, especially Mike's lead part. And I think the group harmonies are really pretty as well during the chorus, like the "Merry Christmas, Baby." I really like that a lot. I will say though, this song does feel like it's maybe missing something to me. I think this is one of the ones that would have really benefited from a more like interesting arrangement, with maybe some additional instrumentation, kind of like what they did with Little Saint Nick, the original like single mix. But as it is, I still think it's a pretty decent song, and it's another one that I do come back to around this time of year. So overall, pretty solid track.
Yeah, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head where it does sound a little like unfinished.
Yeah.
But there are parts of it that I really like the opening, like kind of like the guitar-y sound. I think it sounds really cool. I like the clapping. I think the hand claps are cool. Backing vocals are great. And I do like that this is a bit more of a downer. I think some of my favorite Christmas songs are the ones that are a little bit more downer and melancholy, and this
Me
kind of
too.
fits well. And I think Mike does a pretty good job singing it as well. But yeah, it does feel like there is something missing on it. I'm not really sure what. Maybe it just needed a little bit more time in the studio.
Yeah, I kind of like this one, but I think it's probably the first like weaker one that I've kind of come across. Like it's good, but it is kind of seems more like I don't want to say filler because I feel like they definitely put a lot of effort into this one, but I don't think it's as strong as the other new ones that they did. That being said, it still has its moments. I do like the little hook of "Merry Christmas, baby." I think that's pretty cool, but I think the verses are a bit too standard, honestly.
Yep.
But still pretty
Yep.
solid, and I think it's a good album track if you're gonna put this on in the background as like a album to listen to around the holidays.
Yeah, I think the chorus definitely carries it because like I'm trying to remember it right now in my head, and that's like the only part that really
My
like I can.
baby, she told me she don't
Oh
wanna.
yeah, there you go. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's not a bad verse. It's just yeah, it's not their most memorable for sure. So okay, so next up we have Christmas Day, which is the last new original on the album. And this is a notable one because, as I believe Riley mentioned, this was Al's first official lead vocal with the band.
Mhm.
I think he does a really great job singing it. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of listeners at the time thought that this was Brian because their voices do sound very alike at times. But I do think Al does a really good job on this. And honestly, in terms of like the song itself, this is probably my second favorite song on the album, just behind Little Saint Nick. Unlike some of the other original songs on here, I actually think that the stripped back arrangement works really well on this one. I think it has a very good melody, and I like the lyrics. They're very kind of fun and charming. And I also really love that little organ solo towards the end of the song as well. I kind of had forgotten about that part until I re-listened to the album again recently, and I was like, oh yeah, that's really cool. So Yeah, overall, I like this song a lot, and I think it was a really good choice to have Al sing this one because it honestly just feels like a very Al song, lyrically and musically. So, I think it's a really charming and fun song, and I really like it.
Yeah, I think that this is a song that first of all I wanted to say I really like the opening like little guitar bit before the vocals come in. Al does a
Yep,
great
Carl, man, that's Carl.
Carl. Yeah, I like Carl's little guitar bit. Great vocal from Al. I like the lyrics too in the sense that they're kind of like very nostalgic in a way. Like
Mhm.
it's worth the wait the whole year through just to spend Christmas with you, and I'll never outgrow the thrill of Christmas Day.
Yeah.
Uh, and I just wanted to say, if somebody thought Brian sang this, they clearly didn't read the back because it actually literally says Al Jardine's first recorded solo as a Beach Boy. But a lot of people don't read, so I wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, I definitely think that this is one of the more memorable of the originals, and yeah, it's definitely one of my favorites of the originals as well too. And I think Al was the perfect choice to sing this. It helps it stick out a little bit more because I feel like if Brian or Mike had sing this, it wouldn't have stuck out as much.
Yeah.
Yeah, like every time I listen to this, it's I'm kind of reminded why Al was able to fill in for Brian back in the early 60s because it's like Al doesn't sound like Brian that much, and then you listen to this and it's like, oh, this could totally be Brian. But I'm glad that Al finally got a chance to shine. Kind of shows that he does have that smooth voice rather than like that kind of like classic rocker voice. It kind of shows off his a better range, honestly. And I do feel like this is a very like chord progression wise, it's a very Christmassy song compared to the last one, which easily could have just been a regular Beach Boys song. I do really like this one, and I love the way that it resolves back into the verse. It's just a very sweet song. It's very charming, and I think Al's vocal really pulls it all together.
Yeah, for sure.
I love the guitar on this one too. That's
Me too. Right. Yeah. Like I said, the stripped back arrangement was just like that little guitar part just works really well. And yeah, I love the transitions from like the different verses, like the "and to make someone happy like you." It's like a fun little song. So I love it. Um, all right. So the last track on side one is actually the first cover or the first like traditional Christmas song that the Beach Boys did, and it's Frosty the Snowman. For me, I would say this is one of the stronger covers on the album. I think Brian gives it a pretty strong lead vocal, and I also think that the Dick Reynolds arrangement does fit the song pretty well. Obviously, this is something I really only come back to around the holidays, but that said, I do think it's a pretty solid cover of the song. So, what do you guys think of Frosty the Snowman?
It's a nice cover. This one, the arrangement does work because some of the arrangements I'm not crazy for on some of the
Yeah,
songs.
yeah,
Um, Very fun cover. I think that their vocals kind of reflect they have a lot of joy in the vocals that reflects it well. And I kind of like the I'll be back again someday. Like I love the vocal arrangement, like on how the song closes. Definitely one of my favorites of the covers. And I think it's a good way to close off side one.
yeah. This is probably one of my favorite covers too. I don't think I listened to this more than the Ronettes version or the Spectre version, but like in terms of the Beach Boys cover, I mean, this is actually pretty damn good, and I do really love the Dick Reynolds arrangement for it. It definitely sounds a bit more for a freshman actually than the Beach Boys in weird ways, but yeah, man, it's good. It's Frosty the
yeah,
Snowman. It's classic. It's really this is honestly one of the songs that is really hard to mess up.
Yeah.
Most
I,
Christmas songs you can easily mess up. This is not one of them.
And then there's certain Christmas songs that I only like in certain versions. Like I Saw Mommy Kissing Santa Claus. There's like two versions of that song that work.
yeah.
You can probably guess which two they are.
All right. So next up, we have this is the first song on side two of the album, "We Three Kings of Orient Are." So me and Matt have talked about this one a little bit before we did this episode, and I honestly, re-listening to it, I do agree with Matt on this one. I do think the guys give some pretty vocals. I will give it that, but honestly, this song kind of drags for me. I wouldn't say I'm the biggest fan of this song in general, so I kind of view it like the Beach Boys can only do so much with what they were working with. I don't really hold that against them, but overall, this is definitely one of the lesser covers on the album for me. It just kind of chugs along, and I think I forget how long it is, but it feels like it's longer than it is because it's just very 4 minutes. Yeah, that's too long. So yeah, not a big fan of this one, I have to say.
Yeah, boring. It has some nice vocals, but boring. Takes forever to get through. A terrible opener for side two, and I'm not really a big fan of like the super hymnal, overly Christiany Christmas songs to begin with. So like I get what they were going for, but I think they should have chosen something else. I really don't care for it. And I don't like that it opens up side two either, because I find it's kind of an anticlimactic opener for the
Yeah, I
side.
agree. I
By
agree.
far my least favorite song on the album, and it's not even close.
Dude, this might be like the most boring Beach Boys song I've ever listened to. I'm not gonna lie. Um, I honestly find the Lord's Prayer a lot more entertaining than this. I don't know what it is. I think that they're leaning maybe too much into the four freshmen influence on this one with Dick Reynolds, so much so that it sounds like it came out like 20 years earlier than it did. I just
Mm,
don't think this is a Christmas song they needed to cover. I don't mind them doing in like a more like a like Christian based song. I mean, this is the 60s. That's kind of to be expected with Christmas music. But like they could have easily have done like Silent Night really well. They could have done any of
mm,
those. Instead, they
mhm.
did E3 Kings, and it's just like I've never been a fan of that song in general. That's
Yeah.
like one of the most boring church songs ever when I was growing up. I was like, oh, I hate the Three Kings song. And then
I don't even know if we sang that one in
maybe
church.
I have personal bias towards it, man, but this is probably like the most boring Beach Boys song I've ever listened to.
I don't know.
Yeah.
The
I
next to Winds of Change has more going on for it than this one. So
You know what's funny? You said that, Riley. Literally earlier today, when I was re-listening to this specific track, I literally thought after it ended, I was like, "Man, if this is what Winds of Change sounds like to you guys, then I get it. I get why you guys can't stand it." Because I was like, "God, this is lame." All right. So now moving on, we have Blue Christmas. So for me, the best thing about this cover is definitely Brian's vocal. I think he gives a very moving performance, and I also think that the Dick Reynolds orchestral arrangement suits it pretty well. I will say it does feel a little bit overblown at times. There's a couple of points during this where like the strings get really loud, and I'm like, whoa. But compared to other covers of Blue Christmas, this one definitely falls quite a bit short of Elvis's version for me. I definitely think his is like the ultimate version of it. But this does absolutely destroy the Michael Bublé version, which I think is a disaster. So overall, I think this is a good cover, but it's not something that I'd likely choose to put on outside the context of the album. So I think they did a decent job with it.
Yeah, I think Brian's vocal is amazing. He does a great job singing it, and this was the B-side, I believe, to Man with All the Toys, if I'm not
Mhm.
mistaken. But I think the arrangement's a little heavy for the song. Elvis, for me, Elvis's version is one of the greatest Christmas songs ever. Like he sang the hell out of it, and this definitely falls short. I've never heard Michael Bublé's version, but I have a very low tolerance for his Christmas album in general, so I'll take your
Oh,
word.
it's bad. He makes it all. He jazzes it up and makes it all swingy. Oh, it's rough, man.
I have a very low tolerance for Michael Bublé's Christmas album. It's like Dean Martin or Frank Sinatra or Bing Crosby without the soul. So,
Yeah.
no thanks. But yeah, I think Brian sings the hell out of it. It's a great vocal from him, but definitely falls quite a bit short of Elvis's version for me.
yeah, man, I think if the Elvis version didn't exist, I'd be like a bigger fan of this one. I think it's a fine cover. I think it's pretty enjoyable, especially in the context of the album. I think it's great. But like, dude, when the Elvis version exists, it's just like, it's like the definitive cover. It's like I'm trying to think of another song that has like 50 different cover versions, but then there's like one definitive version.
La-
Probably Louie
Last cry.
Louie. Yeah, Louie Louie.
Oh yeah,
Louie
Louis.
Louie has the Kingsman version. There's no reason the Beach Boys had to cover that one. So,
Da, 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 da.
but yeah, it's a great cover, and I especially love the arrangement. It's just the Elvis version's out there.
All right. So up next is Santa Claus is Coming to Town. So I'll be honest, this one does not do a whole lot for me. I don't think it's bad, but I just don't find it really that memorable either. And I really think it lacks the energy that this song needs. If you compare this Beach Boys cover to the Crystals version from the Spectre Christmas album, it's like night and day for me. That version has like the heavy drums, the real like Phil Spector, the wall of sound production. And to me, that's like one of the definitive versions of this song. Where like this Beach Boys version, it kind of like it's fine, but it just doesn't really do a whole lot for me. And I have to say, I also don't really love Mike's lead part on this either. Like the "He sees you when you're sleeping." I feel like they could have picked another one of the guys to sing that part. I think he doesn't sound the best on that. So, yeah, I don't think it's a terrible cover, but it's definitely one of the weak points of the album for me. I think they could have picked a different song, to be honest with you, or at least a different arrangement.
I think it's okay. I kind of like the arrangement because I think the arrangement is so kind of like wacky. It kind of works out which songs like, da, 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 like in the middle there.
Yeah.
Um, but definitely I think the vocals needed work. I don't think it's the vocal arrangement isn't that good. So I kind of like it for the novelty, but yeah, it definitely is one of the weaker songs because it just feels like they kind of rushed it, to be honest with you. Like it's like it just needed a lot of work, or like you said, pick a different song.
Yeah, there's so many definitive versions of this one. Like if you think like Blue Christmas was bad, you got the Bruce Springsteen version that's so fucking ripping.
Mhm.
You got the Jackson 5 version that's equally ripping. And then you have this one, and it's so weak in comparison. Like, I don't think it's bad. I think this is another case of just like there's so many versions out there that are just better. And like,
Yep.
I mean, this one came first, so maybe this was like the fucking huge one before like the Jackson 5 and Springsteen covered it. But maybe it's just a product of me coming from like being born in 2003, and it's just like I knew knew the Springsteen version. So
That's the one I
yeah,
know the best too.
it's
Yeah,
it's like it's just a weak in comparison, but it's not bad.
What year did the Spectre Christmas album come out again? Was that
63.
64?
63.
63. So that was out before this version then,
But it
because
had
to
had
me that's
large,
like one of the definitive versions is the crystal Santa Claus is coming to town.
but it didn't blow up until the 70s. So this was probably better known. But yeah, this Springsteen one I believe was 75, is mid 70s.
I know the live version. That's the one specific one I know.
Oh yeah, that's the one I
Yeah.
know. It's like who's doing the backup vocals on there? Because whoever it is, that's my favorite part. You better be good for good. Yes.
I love at the end when he's like laughing. He's like, Santa Claus is coming.
My
That's
sister
funny.
is convinced that he's drunk on that song. She thinks he sounds so drunk on it.
I don't know. I think that maybe he had too much eggnog. All right. So after this, we have White Christmas. I think this is a solid performance. I think Brian gives a really great lead vocal again. I especially love how he sings the "May Your Days Be Merry and Bright" part. I think that that's really pretty. I also think that the orchestral arrangement is pretty tasteful for the most part. Not too much else to say about it, to be honest. I think it's a well done cover, and I think it's definitely one of the better ones on the album for me. And yeah, I just think Brian again gives a really good lead vocal, which definitely elevates it. So.
Yep, I agree completely. Great lead vocal from Brian. This one, the arrangement I think is very tastefully done because I mentioned it's kind of heavy. That's one of those songs that works well here. Nice harmonies too. Is it better than Bing Crosby? No, but then again, that's another one that's like definitive. That's like the definitive version of White Christmas, even though he hated that song. But I do think this is a very well done cover.
Yeah, I think if there was a version that like could rival the Crosby version, this is probably the one. I think Brian's voice fits this song so damn well. I mean, the Crosby one's obviously iconic, but I might actually return to this one more than that one. I just really like this cover. I think this is the Beach Boys song to cover, or this is the song for the Beach Boys to cover if they're gonna do like a Christmas cover because this fits them so well. Just
Yeah.
fits their like songwriting. It definitely fits the Four Freshmen influence. I really love what Dick Reynolds did with this one.
Mhm.
It's a gorgeous cover, and it might beat the Crosby version. Depends on how I'm feeling.
Yeah, I do like the Crosby version, but this is definitely very good too. What was I gonna say? Then of course going back to Spectre, I know Darlene Love's version opens it up. She actually has her version has like the seldom heard like the orange and palm trees sway. There has never been a day like this in old LA. You don't hear that version too often of the song.
Yeah. All right, so next up is I'll Be Home for Christmas. Honestly, I have similar thoughts on this one as I had about White Christmas. I think the group vocals on this are really pretty and the harmonies. I think it has a very nice arrangement as well. In general, I'd say this is one of the more moving Christmas standards for me, so I'm not surprised that I enjoy the Beach Boys version of this. And yeah, I just think it's a well done cover. Probably not like the essential version of this, but I do think that they did a good job with it. So good pick of a song to cover. So.
This is probably this might be my favorite cover, honestly, on here. They did a really nice job with this song. It's sung well. I like the arrangement. And this is another one where I like the vocal arrangement and the harmonies, but I also like the orchestral arrangement. It's not overblown. Just because, like I said, on some of these songs, it's very heavy. But this one they did a really nice job with. Definitely a top tier cover from them.
Yeah, I kind of go back between this and White Christmas as my favorite covers on the album. I think that the Beach Boys kill it with the ballads, and I think this is no exception. I really love what Dick Reynolds did on this one, arguably more than White Christmas. I think, like Matt said, it wasn't overblown, but it was just right with the production and the arrangement. I think the vocal performance is phenomenal. Yeah, it's one of those Christmas classics, and I think again this one matches up with the original. It's kind of hard to be as iconic as that one, but if you're talking like which one's a better performance, I could be inclined to say that the Beach Boys did a better version. It's just I wish we kind of had like a Beach Boys Today thing where they had, and you kind of see it almost because Today came after this one. Side one is their more upbeat songs, then side two they have freaking We Three Kings and all the slower ones. So yeah,
Who is the original of I'll Be Home for Christmas? Who originally sang that?
I couldn't tell you.
Couldn't tell you either. Like I know like who originally sang Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas, but not this one.
All right, so just one track left on the album, and it's Old Lang Syne. Not too much to say about this one. Most of it's really just a spoken word message from Dennis, which I imagine a lot of listeners at the time really appreciated. It's kind of getting like a personal message from one of the guys. I think it's a pretty charming little message from him. I think it's cute that they kind of tack that on at the end. I did listen to the alternate version of this track so I could hear like the actual like vocal part in the background and not Dennis talking over it. I think it's good vocals, but as I've told you guys, a lot of the acapella stuff doesn't do a whole lot for me, so doesn't do too much for me. But overall, I think it's an okay way to close the album, and I can see the appeal of it, having like a spoken word message from one of the guys. So
I think it's very interesting that Dennis screwed up the message and Brian didn't insist him to go back and re-record it. But I do think it makes it more charming,
yeah,
his words in there.
yeah,
Very sincere message from him. I think that for me is the highlight. As far as the song itself, it's okay.
yeah.
This is a song that I'll be honest with you. I think my favorite rendition of it is in the apartment towards the end of the movie, where like Shirley MacLaine is sitting with Fred McMurray in the Chinese restaurant and they sing it and she's like smiling and like fiddling with her necklace, and then she leaves him to go back with Jack Lemmon. I just love it because how thematic and like fitting it is in that movie. So that will always be my favorite, like any rendition of Auld Lang Syne, because that's like my all-time favorite movie. But I think that this is, like I said, it's a nice way to close. But yeah, acapella for me is like I can take it in doses. I
Yeah.
can do like pentatonics where like that's the whole gimmick, especially if it's auto-tuned.
Don't
Like
even mention them, man. They're like fucking. Oh
they
my
did
god.
like 17 Christmas albums. That's like their whole shtick now.
Yeah, they're all shit. Every single one of them. Uh, yeah, you know what? I might sound a bit like Bruce here, man, but this Old Lang Syne is one of those like most nostalgic songs for me. I don't
Mm.
know what it is about it. Just really, like, I mean, I heard it a lot in like old movies that I'd watch with my grandparents at their house. So imagine me when I was like, "Oh, the Beach Boys did a version of it," and I started listening to it, and then I just get this like, "Hey, everybody, it's Dennis." I'm like, "Oh, fuck." But I do imagine getting that message back in '64 as like a little surprise. It was really cool to get, especially like imagine one of your. It's like I'm trying to think of an artist that like I don't absolutely want to slander right now. It's like a modern artist doing that, like for like a little Christmas like album or something like a little Christmas song, and they get a little message at the end. It'd be kind of sweet.
Sabrina Carpenter.
DJ, I was trying to avoid that one, but then you still mentioned it.
Happily. Well, also too, keep in mind that in 64, there was no social media, there was no MTV. So like, yeah, you're right. That would have probably been a really nice like surprise, it's like, hey, thank you for supporting us. We hope you have a happy new year and, we'll see you around. So definitely, I think that would have been a nice surprise for the time, especially like I said, because we didn't have all the other ways that artists could connect with their fans like we do now. And
Yeah.
that a lot of the girls were probably swooning over that.
Oh, I'm sure that's why Dennis was chosen to do it. They knew he would have the most charm in that for sure. So. All right, so now that we've finished our track list rundown, we do want to go over a few extra Christmas-related tracks that the Beach Boys have put out.
Yeah. Yeah, we do.
Let's start with the Lord's Prayer because that's around this time.
All right, I actually forgot to listen to this, so you guys are gonna have to give your thoughts on.
Well, good thing, Jake, because I'll fill you in if you think We Three Kings was boring. Like this one's like, granted, I think this is better. I think it's a step up, and I appreciate the sentiment. And I think objectively speaking, the harmonies are so on point.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I don't know if David or Al I think David might be on this one. I think because this came out on 63.
Yeah, it was the B-side to Little Saint Nick.
David, I don't know if he's in the vocal stack or not. I mean, probably not.
Yeah, I think it's well done. There's more background behind this because this is what they used to sing at Mike's house during their Christmas get-together. So there's some nostalgia involved. To be honest with you, though, it does remind me a lot of sitting in church and saying the Lord's Prayer, because I went to Catholic church, so Our Father, who art in heaven, so you have to just say it. But yeah, it's definitely sung well, and I definitely think it works good as a B-side. I definitely don't think it should have been on the album. I'm glad it wasn't, and I know that if I'm not mistaken, they wanted to put it on an early version of 2020. That would have been really freaking weird. Imagine if that was stuck on there. So I'm glad that didn't happen. But yeah, I think it's like a nice little curiosity, but it's definitely not something that is like I listen to a lot.
All right, so now we're going to move on to one of many odd songs we're going to be talking about to finish up this episode. Little Saint Nick, the alternate version, which is Little Saint Nick, but with the drive-in melody, the song from All Summer Long. So this version is just really weird. It's definitely far inferior to the final version of the song, so I'm glad that it wasn't released like this. I doubt that it would have gotten anywhere near the attention and recognition that the song did if it was put out in this version. As I've mentioned, Driving isn't even one of my favorite songs on All Summer Long. I think it's one of those songs that's mostly carried by its production for me. I think as a song, it's just okay. So yeah, I'm really glad that the band didn't put this out in any official form because I don't think it's that great. So
Let's just be grateful that we live in the universe where Little Saint Nick is the way it is and Drive-In is the way it is, because this just does not work at all. I don't know what they're trying to do with this song. It's a mess. Is this even on? Is
Yeah.
this even on streaming officially? I know it's on the CD. That's where I first heard it.
I want to say it is. I think it's on the Ultimate Christmas compilation, which has some of the MIU Christmas stuff too.
You're right.
So
I think it is on there. Yeah.
And Child of Winter. And Child of Winter. Don't
yes,
forget that
yes,
one.
it's on there. Yes.
it's yeah. This is just weird. It doesn't work at all.
Um, what the fuck is this, man? What the fuck is it's I'm so glad that they split them apart because like why? You already wrote Little Saint Nick back in 63. Why would you rewrite it as Drive-In like a half a year later? Like what the fuck? Um so I mean maybe it was just like an experiment with Brian. I don't know. I
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
know
probably.
that stuff, but like or like did he write Drive-In first and this was the original melody and then he rewrote it and just saved the melody for Drive-In? I don't know. Regardless, I'm just glad that this is not the official version because otherwise I wouldn't have my favorite Christmas song. It's just like rhythmic, similar to Lady Liberty, it rhythmically just doesn't fit. You're saying too much shit in one verse. It's we know the little bobsled and little Saint, we call it Saint Nick. It's
Way up north where the air is cold. It's the Saint Nick. That's just weird, man. It's just weird. All right, so I don't know where we want to go next here, Riley. What do you want to talk about next?
God, a winner.
Child of Winter. Okay.
We were going
Well,
chronological, aren't we?
Yeah,
okay. So the notes that I wrote for Child of Winter, I just wrote "What the fuck, man." That's my notes for Child of Winter. But and that's not the only song I wrote that for, by the way. But yeah, this song I've joked about it on here. I mean, I know I act like I hate it on here. I don't despise it. I don't think it's like, like appalling to listen to, but it's just so freaking weird. And the fact that this was released as a single just baffles me. Like, I just don't understand. And again, I don't even think that they thought this would succeed because it was released so late that it had no chance to really chart as a Christmas single because the holidays were already going to be over by the time that, this started actually climbing the charts, which it didn't. So yeah, I don't think it's a very good song. I think it's a very odd song. It has the weird, like the Child of Winter melody, and then all of a sudden, out of fucking nowhere, here comes Santa Claus, here comes. And then, as Matt has mentioned, you have the weird Christmas comes and the snow covers all and all that. It's just a weird ass song, man. So, as a novelty, I can see why this is fun, for some people to listen to. But like for me, it's just like, what the hell even is this, man? So, yeah, not a fan of this one, but I guess I can see the appeal as a novelty.
I think it's just like an unintentionally hilarious song. First of all, you have like Mike's vocal with the cadence that sounds like a Mickey Mouse snowball, and I swear to God, that's what I thought it said the first time I heard it.
Yep.
You have the random inclusion of "Here Comes Santa Claus." Then you have the Grinch granny voice from Brian, which is like this is like the worst distillation of Brian's eccentricities of the mid '70s. The fact that this was not only released days before Christmas, but this was also the very first thing they put out after Endless Summer is Camp, and the fact that the B side was Susie Cincinnati once again.
Susan Cincinnati.
I just think like the whole like as a whole package, it's hilarious. As a song, it's horrible. But there's like
Yeah.
some charm in it. You know what I mean?
All right. I think I got to give my whole spiel about Child of Winter. Um, I I kind of like the initial verse, like as like objectively, I think that's a good initial verse. It starts off pretty strong. The Child of Winter has lots of potential, but this is the most like deep like dive into pure chaos imaginable. It gets crazier and crazy as it goes. It's like you're slowly losing your mind as you listen to the song, and I think that is the most entertaining thing ever. Uh, it's like the Avengers movies where you get all these fucking cameos every 5 seconds. It's like, oh my God, it's Doctor Strange. What the fuck? Except it's like the Grinch or something. And then you get like all this random shit happening more and more and more. And I think it's a great look into the chaos that was the mid to late 70s for the Beach Boys. But I think it's just pure, crazy, unhinged entertainment. And I get lots of joy listening to it. And I think it's also funny this is the last song with Ricky Fatar. So
It's camp. This is like a camp song.
All right, so now do we want to move on to some of the tracks from the aborted Christmas album from 1977, which would eventually become the MIU album, but originally the band was working on what was going to be a Christmas album. So do you guys want to get into some of those tracks?
Do we want to do track by track, or do you just want to talk about
No,
like
just general thoughts on some of the tracks. Well,
most?
let you know what, I'll kick us off real quick here. Four tracks. I'm just gonna get my thoughts on these out of the way right away. Or no, I believe it's three tracks. Santa's Got an Airplane. I Saw Santa Rocking Around the Christmas Tree, and Mele Kalikimaka. My thoughts on all of them are what the fuck. So that's all I have to say about all three of them. Mele Kalikimaka is Merry Christmas and Hawaii Taka. Like, what the hell are these guys doing? But yeah, these are just weird songs. Santa's Got an Airplane. What? I mean, I've never even cared for the whole Loop De Loop airplane song to begin with.
I fucking love that one.
Really? Oh, it doesn't.
I love Loop
that
De
song
Loop.
that kind of kicked around for a while. Like,
I just don't see the appeal in it. It's just kind of like, I don't know, Loop De Loop, flip, flop.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, none of those are particularly great. I know that I Saw Mommy Rock on the Christmas Tree. That one.
I Saw Santa Rocking Around the Christmas Tree.
That one, I don't know what that is. I guess that one's kind of charming because you have Matt and who's the other one? Sons are on it.
Yeah.
That's kind of cute, but it's almost like I Saw Mommy Kissing Santa Claus. It's just not a particularly like great song to begin with. The airplane one, yeah, that's just kind of stupid. Mele Kalikimaka, the Hawaii Taka, may be one of their very worst songs, and I don't even really care.
That is like the most Mike Love lyric ever.
I don't even care for Kona Coast to begin with, and this is even worse. And it also has the reprise of Hawaii, which I know.
Yeah, it's got Hawaii in there.
That's your favorite. There's another song too, and I know that this is only on the original Ultimate Christmas CD. It's like a rewrite of Peggy Sue, I think.
Oh, jeez.
Which one is that? I'm trying to remember what it is. Give me like 2 seconds.
Riley, thoughts on the tracks that we just talked about?
Lots. Everything I said about Child of Winter can apply here. It's like, what the fuck, man? What the fuck? Like, I could see why this was scrapped. It's like Child of Winter, but like a little duller. Like, it's not like, I don't know, man. I can't describe it.
Okay, I found it.
Describe it.
What song is it, Matt?
Christmas Time Is Here Again. It's a rewrite of Peggy Sue. It's just okay. And then we forgot another one, Bells of Christmas, which is Bells.
Yes, Bells of Paris.
Bells of Paris is so goddamn boring, and this is goddamn boring. So
I'll be honest. If I had to pick one, I'd honestly take Bells of Christmas. I prefer it as a Christmas song than Mike doing his freaking French shtick.
You know which one I really like, though? I really like Winter Symphony. I think that
Winter Symphony and Morning Christmas are by far the best two things.
Winter Symphony is just a great song in general. And is Brian singing? Because he sounds good on it.
Brian's singing lead on that, I think, yeah. Winter Symphony, I think, is probably like one of the strongest songs of the whole set. I mean, it completely beats the songs that we just mentioned. I think it's really cool. I like the melody and the production on it. Kind of has like that haunting sound to it, which I really like a lot. And some fun lyrics too. So I think it's a really cool track. And as for Morning Christmas, I know a lot of people really like this one. It's definitely like a lot more deep and moving than anything else that would have gotten released on this album. That said, I have to say it doesn't do a whole lot for me. For me, it just kind of chugs along. There isn't really a part of it that I like grab onto. But I think I can see the appeal in it, especially if you're into a lot of Dennis's solo stuff. But for me, this one doesn't do a whole lot. So
I love Winter Symphony. I love Morning Christmas. I love both of them. Winter Symphony, it's a pure Brian Wilson song, but it is so earnest and he sings it very well. And Morning Christmas for me, I kind of can see why you don't really like it, Jake, because it's not really melodic. I love it because it's very like ambient. It has like that vibe of like it's winter, it's Christmas, and it's just very moving. So like for me, it's like right up my alley. It's like Dennis kind of doing like David Bowie's Low or something. It's like it has got that great vibe to it. So I can see why you don't really care for it that much.
Riley, thoughts on Morning Christmas from Dennis?
I didn't listen to that one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, my bad.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. But here's something that me and Riley definitely listened to. I don't know if Matt had the chance to listen to this one, but Do You Hear What I Hear? From now, Riley, is this the one that I'm thinking of, the Mike Love?
You fucking know it is.
So Do You Hear What I Hear? From Mike Love and Mary McGregor. This is a duet that was featured on Scrooge's Rock and Roll Christmas, which was a low-budget TV special from 1983, which featured Mike Love. I think Dean Torrance is on there, and a few other kind of like older bands from the time, like the Association, I think. But this is a very fascinating recording. I wouldn't say Mike's vocals on this are particularly amazing. In fact, I would honestly say he doesn't really fit the song that much. But what I do really like on this is the synth heavy arrangement. It's very like almost like atmospheric sounding, and it takes a song that honestly doesn't usually do a whole lot for me, and it makes it pretty damn enjoyable. So I really like the synth work on this. I think it's a very cool kind of 80s reimagining of Do You Hear What I Hear? Mike's vocals are, they're fine, I guess. They're not great, but for me, the appeal is definitely the production. So this is something that, I wouldn't say it's for everyone, but it's definitely worth a listen if you haven't heard it before, just because it's just very odd. It's very interesting.
Yeah, I think Mike's vocal it's fine.
It's fine.
It's
Yeah.
better than you'd think. It's better than you'd think. But the pure like the enjoyment comes from the production. It's very like
Atmospheric.
yeah. I don't know how to describe it, man. I do enjoy it though. I think it's kind of like shock. It's a pretty cool take on it. It's something you wouldn't expect all around. So it's definitely worth a listen, if not for just for the music video. So
Yeah. Oh, the music video. Yeah, the music video is so odd. It's like they're holding like a goat or something, and it's just Mike standing next to Mary McGregor. It's a very odd video as well, but yeah, it's definitely worth a listen. And yeah, the synth works really cool, really really cool production on it. So I think I found this through Nate actually. I think Nate might have introduced this to me. So all right. So one other song that I wanted to mention real quick. It wasn't on our group list, but I'm not sure. Maybe you guys have heard this before, but it's from Brian Wilson's solo Christmas album, What I Really Want for Christmas. And the song is On Christmas Day. I think this is a very moving song. I really like the vocals and the production on it. It has a very like mid 60s Brian sound to it. So like if you like Brian's work around like the Today era, Summer Days and Summer Nights, like Pet Sounds, that whole era, I feel like you'd like this song. I think musically it's pretty strong. There's some cool chord changes, and it's definitely a track that I do enjoy quite a bit. So I just wanted to shout that out because it's on my Beach Boys playlist. So, all right. So now we will move on to our Christmas song draft. So, to explain how this is going to work, each of us are going to pick 5 songs, 5 Christmas songs. They can be from any artist. And we're basically going to just name the song, name the artist, and talk about why we like it so much and why we think it's a great Christmas song. And by the end of it, we're going to have a 15-song track list, and we will share it as a playlist with all of you. So, Riley, before we started filming this episode, you said that we are only allowed to include one Beach Boys song. So do we want to get that out of the way now? What
and we're gonna vote for the Beach Boys song.
And this
Little
is
Saint Nick, I think we're all in favor. Little Saint Nick.
Yes, we are all in favor of
Yeah,
Little Saint
Little
Nick.
Saint
This is separate from the other 5, so it's 16 total. I would
16.
say.
Yeah, that's fine. All
Yeah,
right.
we'll lead it off with Little Saint Nick.
Riley, go first.
Oh yeah. I don't know where to start. Uh, why did I go first? I don't even know which one I was gonna do.
I don't even know what I'm going to start with either.
You know what? I'm gonna go with probably easily my second favorite Christmas song, arguably my first. Happy Xmas, War is Over by John Lennon. This song is honestly one of the most nostalgic songs I could ever listen to. I remember listening to this one a shit ton as a kid. I didn't even know it was John Lennon of the Beatles until like I was like 9 or 10, which is like 2 years after I got into the Beatles. I think my dad's like, this is John Lennon, right? And I was like, huge John Lennon fan. I was like an 8-year-old. It's like, oh my God, it's John Lennon. But this is one of the earliest songs I just remember listening to in the car in general. It's always one that reminds me of like when I was a kid. It makes me very nostalgic. But other than that, it's just a really well-written song with a great message. And I think that John is known for his like peace and love kind of shit, and whether you agree with him or not is kind of a separate story, but you can't deny that this song just captures that perfectly. It's just a very happy song. It's a very nostalgic song for me. It's a well-written song, and I think the hook of it with the kids singing in the background and like the if you want it, I think it's just a very sweet song, and you can't not listen to this one during the holiday season. So has to be on this list.
I'm a big fan of that song too. And I kind of like that they kind of drowned Yoko out with the kids. I've heard the version. There's a version out there where you can hear Yoko more clearly. I don't like it as much. It needs the Spectre production on it with the kids.
Yeah, it's one of the most moving Christmas songs of all time, in my opinion. Yeah, I love the kids choir on it. I think it makes it even more of a moving song. And yeah, just a really well-written song, like Riley said. And I love how the production kind of builds as it goes. By the end, you got those really coming into just a really, really moving song. I think it's a Christmas classic. Matt, you want to go and pick a song here?
I'm going to be nominating one of the biggest songs of the 70s, Chris songs of the 70s. The Eagles version of Please Come Home for Christmas. I think it's a very moving song. I think Don Henley sings the hell out of it. It's got that melancholy vibe that I really enjoy. And this is one that I always, always enjoy hearing all around the holidays. Your bells will be ringing the sad.
Oh, dude, I know this one. It took me a while to be like, which one is this? I was like, I didn't know the Eagles had a Christmas song. And the second you sang that, oh, I love this one.
I love this one too.
I
Yeah,
forgot about that.
such a moving song and one of my favorites. I always listen to it every year.
Yeah. I really like that song as well. I think it's very moving. I like the simple arrangement on it with like the piano. Yeah, it's a really nice little song. And if I remember right, there's a song that this sounds just like. I think it's the chord progression. I'm trying to remember what song it is, but I've seen people compare it. And when I heard them both, I'm like, damn, like they really are similar. I'm trying to remember what the song is. If it comes to me, I'll mention it later in the episode. But all right. So the first song that I'm going to pick, and I think Matt, you like this one quite a bit. I think Riley said he likes it too, to an extent. Last Christmas by Wham from 1984. So this is one of those interesting ones for me where I have never ever heard a cover of this song that I liked, but the original by Wham just really works for me. I love the synth heavy production. Love all the cool effects, like with the bells and just the way the song builds up. Love the melancholic lyrics. Something really cool about this track, George Michael, I learned this, played every single instrument on it, which is really, really cool. And obviously sang the vocal. I think he does a great job at singing it. And yeah, it's just a really melancholic Christmas song. And I think one of you guys said, I think Matt, you said that you like songs that kind of have like a tinge of like sadness or melancholy. And for me, like this is that Christmas song. Like, you know, some people might view it as a little bit cheesy, but for me, it always really moves me. I absolutely love it. For me, it's a really atmospheric and cool Christmas song. So Last Christmas by Wham, definitely in my top 2 or top 3 Christmas songs of all time. So I love it.
I do love this song too, and you're right. Nothing touches Wham, George Michael. But I will say, I know a lot of people love Taylor Swift's version. If you like the country clanginess of it, no, I can. Yeah, it's she played it up too much. This is when she was trying to be country. You know, last Christmas. She's also not a particularly good singer, so like, yeah, no. But
She makes it all like cutesy. She's like, I gave you my heart.
Not a cutesy song exactly. No, I love Last Christmas. I do. It's a very, very moving song, and like I think you said, you hit the nail on the head. It's very atmospheric. And I did know that George Michael played all the instruments on there, so that's an extra bonus.
Yeah.
This is one of my guilty pleasure Christmas songs. Like it goes again, it's one of those songs, man. It goes against everything I stand for in music, but I fucking love it. I don't know, maybe it's just the synths in the background that really like hook me in. Like I feel like the lyrics are super fucking corny. I could see Bruce doing this one, but
Last Christmas, I gave you my heart.
No, we don't need that.
I was a little too on the nose, Jake. But yeah, I love this one, man. It's a classic, and I'm not a big. I think Taylor does a fine version. I don't think it's like bad. It's just it's missing a lot of the like the oomph, the little pizzazz that the George Michael version has, man.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's all the synths, and I know a lot of people like this song's very divisive. I know some people that despise this song. My mom is not a fan of it at all.
I tried to be one of those guys, man. I tried to be the guy that's like, "Oh, this is shit," but
right. I think the power of the production and the songwriting just overwhelms that. You know,
I only recently accepted my fate as a fan of this song. Like I'm talking within the last 2 years. I'm like, all right, I like it.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, Wham. I mean, obviously, like not the coolest band to be a fan of, but Everything She Wants is a banger as well. I love that
Careless
song.
Whisper is an amazing song. I know that's technically George. And honestly, even Wake Me Up Before You Go Go is a great pop song.
I can't stand Wake Me Up Before
You
Go.
I love that song.
That's one of my least favorite songs to hear in like retail. Like, oh God.
Wanted you to book. Okay. Jet Riley.
All right, Riley, what are you picking next?
Ooh, I'm gonna go a little bit nostalgic for me. I'm gonna go with Christmas Island by Jimmy Buffett. You guys definitely don't strike. I definitely don't strike you guys as a Jimmy Buffett fan. Like, and I'm not. I don't think I'm like a huge like Jimmy Buffett
parrot head.
I think what kind of ruined Jimmy Buffett for me was I worked at SeaWorld and they played so much goddamn Jimmy Buffett. And like,
you know, like I'm not like the biggest fan of him. And like I like maybe a couple of songs. But this one is one my dad and I always listened to in the car growing up. And Christmas Island, it's like Kokomo, but like a Christmas song. And it's like that's the best way I can describe it. And I love Kokomo, so it's not a bad song. It's super catchy. It's super upbeat. It's so relaxed. It's not like pretentious. It's not in your face. It's just a good, fun song. And it always brings back good memories of me and my dad driving, especially during the wrestling season. We'd be coming back from like a wrestling meet. I got my ass kicked that day when I was like 5 years old. And my dad's like, all right, let's listen to some Christmas music. And he'd put on the Jimmy Buffett Christmas album, which is there's the good version of Mele Maka, and then there's Christmas Island. I love Christmas Island. It's just a really nice song. It makes you feel very much at home. You feel like you're on Christmas vacation.
So the next Christmas song I'm going to choose is probably for me the definitive version of this song. It's Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas, the Judy Garland version from Meet Me in St. Louis. I think this is a very moving song in general. This is another one that kind of fits that melancholy vibe for me, and she sings it amazingly. So I want to give a little context to this song. So Meet Me in St. Louis. Have you guys seen Meet Me in St. Louis? It's an older movie. It's from the 40s. Basically, it takes place in 1903, about this like really well-to-do family like in St. Louis, like they're getting ready for the World's Fair, and it's divided into seasons. So there's a section of the movie that's in Christmas, and their dad has taken a job in New York. They're going to have to move to New York. Judy Garland's character has been proposed to. She knows she's going to have to reject the proposal. Her youngest sister is really upset about having to move to New York, so she sings the song to kind of try to cheer her up. The song was written during World War II. So that kind of adds another tinge to melancholy because a lot of soldiers were off fighting in the war. And in the original version of the song, it was like, have yourself a merry little Christmas. It may be your last. Next year on, we'll all be living in the past. Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Pop the champagne cork. Next year, we'll all be living in New York. They changed it because like it's too depressing. So they kind of changed it to what we know today. Hers has the original lyrics, which I think are more poignant, where it's like, someday soon we all will be together if the fates allow. Until then, we'll have to muddle through somehow. And she just sings it so beautifully. It's so moving. The way she acts with her face is amazing in the film. Frank Sinatra actually is the one who kind of, he said, jolly this up for me. And so that's where we got the hang a shining star upon the highest bough. But I love her version. It's just such a moving performance. And I think she has one of the greatest voices ever. So that's the one I'm nominating.
All right, so I'm going to pick my second song now for the album. I'm going to go with one that was a really big hit overseas. I don't think it's found the same popularity in the US, but I have heard it before, working in retail. So I assume that there are some people here that like it as well. Driving Home for Christmas by Chris Ray. I think this is a really, really moving song. It's a simple song. It has like kind of a jazzy little piano part that opens it and kind of plays throughout the song. But just a very moving song. That's pretty much what the title sounds like. It's about driving home for Christmas to see your loved ones. Just a really moving track, and I love Chris's vocal. He has kind of that bluesy, raspier voice, which really suits the song well, I feel like. And I just really love the song, and it always moves me whenever I hear it. I saw somebody described it as like one of the coziest sounding Christmas songs. And that's pretty much exactly how I feel about it. So it's a song that I always love to hear, and it especially hits hard when you're actually driving, home for Christmas or driving anywhere to hear it in the car. So love the song a lot, and I wish it got more play here in the U.S. because I think it's a really beautiful song. So, did you guys, Riley? Did you get the chance
I
to listen to
did, and you know what, man? I think that song is so good on its own that if you change the lyrics completely, it'd just be a really good song in general.
I'm glad you liked it, man. I
I
think
think it
it's
was just
very
really
moving.
well written. I didn't even know it was a Christmas song until I really listened to the lyrics. I was like zoning out in the car ride. I'm like,
Yeah.
this is Christmas. All right. I'm looking at my Christmas list. You know me and my instrumentals. I gotta have one. I'm gonna do "O Tannenbaum" by the Vince Guaraldi Trio from
Hmm.
Charlie Brown Christmas.
That is one of the all-time
I
great.
think this is one of those instrumentals that planted the seeds early on for me to like instrumentals in general. I like the way it starts off. It's very slow. It's very jazzy. It's very, very like nightclubby.
Mhm.
And then it gets into this little like jazz groove jam that I absolutely love. I'm not a big jazz guy. Like I've never been a big jazz guy, but this song is just it has such a vibe to it. I hate using the word vibe because it's got a bad connotation in recent years, but there's no better way to describe it. This song is just it's iconic. It's very fitting. It makes you feel like you're at home. It's like nighttime, either Christmas Eve, Christmas Day. You have like the fire going in the fireplace kind of thing. I really love this instrumental, and I think the trio is very talented. They're very talented musicians. So maybe they use this like a little interlude, put this either at the end or the very beginning of our little compilation. But I think that you can't have a Christmas album and not get any Charlie Brown representation.
Yeah. I love the Charlie Brown Christmas album. I think that is one of the all-time great Christmas albums. Like that. What's the
Yep.
that's the one I like the most. What is that?
Linus and Lucy.
That
I love Christmas Time is Here. That's
one's
my,
good too. That what's funny? They actually thought that Christmas special was going to fail. They were convinced it was going to be a complete disaster, and it ended
That's crazy.
because it was low budget. It had children actually voicing children, which was unheard of in the mid
Yeah.
'60s. It made fun of the aluminum Christmas tree, which
Yeah.
actually led to the aluminum Christmas tree declining because like it was very popular before that special, and now they're actually worth a lot of money if you can find one in good
Oh,
shape. But yeah, no, I love the whole Charlie Brown Christmas album. So great choice, Riley.
yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely, dude. I could have gone with any of them, but this was the one that got me hooked with the album.
Okay, I'm gonna change gears, do something a little bit funny. Oh Holy Night by Eric Cartman from South Park. I think it
Yes!
is absolutely hysterical. The way he sings the Oh Holy Night, and it's like so
It's
I,
dead and happy chanting.
it's like I get presents, and then when like the chorus comes in and he's like changing like the fire some oh hear the angels something voices. It's fucking hilarious, man. It never fails to make me crack up, dying laughing.
Oh
So
yeah, man.
it has to be on there. It is so fucking
So
funny.
that whole episode of South Park is worth a mention. I think they hit the nail on the head. They did a great Christmas special with like awesome takes on songs. I love the humor of Trey Parker and Matt Stone. They match my humor very well. And I think like honestly, but even then, like it still matches the vibe and the very like themes of Christmas really well, which I think is really cool. Something that's really hard to do with a lot of Christmas specials nowadays is like balance really good humor with like that still like good message. And I think Trey Parker and Matt Stone hit the nail on the head.
Okay, so this will be I believe my third pick. I'm going to go with Nate's going to be proud of this one. Christmas, Baby Please Come Home from Darlene Love. Uh, I love this song. I think it's one of the all-time Christmas classics. Just a really, really well-written song and well-produced song. Obviously, Spector produced this, and it definitely has like his wall of sound on it. You can definitely tell it's a Spector produced track, but man, it's powerful. I just love like the chorus and the verses, like the "We're singing deck the halls." It's just such a well-written song, and Darlene sings the hell out of it. So for me, this is one of those Christmas classics, and I honestly feel like it's definitely like a top five all-time Christmas song. So I love it.
It's really good. And I actually think Mariah Carey does a pretty nice version too. Have you ever heard her version?
I have, but for me, this is the definitive for
This
sure.
I wouldn't
is
say it's
it's
better,
the
but
production, man. Darlene Love gives a powerful vocal. Spector absolutely kills it on the production. This is again one of those examples of a perfect pop song coming together.
yeah, it definitely is. It is definitely an amazing song. Very, very moving lyrics too. Like it's like the melancholic lyrics that I know we mentioned earlier.
All right. Looking at my very short Christmas playlist, it's literally only 21 songs. I'm gonna go with arguably my not arguably my first guitar idol, Chuck Berry, Run Rudolph Run. This was I remember like singing this song in the car as a kid. One of the songs that really got me into rock and roll. I love Chuck Berry, mostly because of Back to the Future, but I really love Chuck Berry. And Johnny Be Good was the song that made me want to learn guitar, specifically the Marty McFly version, but it's whatever. But yeah, dude, I think this song is how you like make a rock and roll Christmas song. You have Jingle Bell Rock, you have Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree, but those are for freaking pansies. This is hardcore rock and roll at its finest, and I think he gives a powerful vocal, great guitar work. This is one that like I'll play like going 95 on the highway to get to like my like my to get to my uncle's house for Christmas. So like this is rock and roll Christmas done right. Run Rudolph run.
I think I'm gonna enjoy this song more, picturing you just flying pedal to the metal with this. Run, run, Rudolph!
Yeah,
Riley's
you
gotta
know
make
you're
it.
the master, my.
He's honking down the highway to this song, right?
I wasn't honking, dude. The cars are honking at me.
That's a classic, though. That is a good one.
Yeah, it's a very, very fun song, and yeah, it's pretty much what you would imagine a Chuck Berry Christmas song to sound like. It's perfectly in his style, and he gives a really good vocal on it. And yeah, it's a really fun holiday song. So
Okay, so for my next choice,
yeah.
I Want for Christmas Is You, but not Mariah Carey.
Oh,
Vince Vance and the Valiants. I'm not a huge country fan, but this song I've always found very moving. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with this one.
I am
Um,
not.
it was sung by a woman named Lisa Burgess Stewart. And it's a very moving song. It's like, it's like Take Back the Holly and Mistletoe, Silver Bells on String, if I
Who's
were
this by again?
Vince Vance and the Valiants.
Vince Vance.
Vince Vance and the Valiants. And they're actually did Beach Boys connection here. They did Bomb Iran. that like novelty song that was like a parody of Barbara Ann. But I really like this song. I think it's a very moving song. I'm not a huge country guy, but I really think that this is a very moving song. It's sung very well, and there's a lot of passion in it, and I love the lyrics. Very, very moving song for me. And I do like the Mariah one, but it is so overplayed that we don't need it on this list. I think
Is this like different song or is it just the
completely
same?
different song, completely different song. It's just the same title.
All right. I was scared for a second, Matt.
It is not the Mariah. No, it's Vince Vance and the Valiants. It's completely different, but it's
Good.
it's overshadowed by that one to the extent that the songwriters actually tried to
What,
sue her a couple times.
I mean, I do want to say about the Mariah song, I do think it's a well written pop song. Like I can see why people like it, but like that song, man, like it has been played to death. Like we gotta like if I had heard it less, I'd probably appreciate it more. But like, man, hearing it so many freaking times, like I just turn it off when it comes on.
Yeah, but she was basically going for like a modern '90s update of a Spectre song. That's what she was
No,
going.
and I think in that regard, I think she nailed it. I don't think you
She
could do
did.
much better. But
It
yeah,
just over like she's embraced this whole Queen of Christmas thing. Like she actually, I don't know if you guys have ever seen it, but she will put social media posts on like November 1st of like the Queen is defrosting, and she's like
right, yeah.
embraces it, you know.
I mean,
Yeah.
hey, you know what? She gets paid a shit ton of money for it. Good for her.
Yeah, no, I like this. I like Mariah Carey, but I just think we've heard it so much. Let me pick something else. So
Right,
this
yeah,
one I really enjoy.
yeah. All right. So my fourth pick, I'm gonna go with another Spectre produced one. We're gonna go with Sleigh Ride by the Ronettes. This is probably my favorite version of Sleigh Ride. And again, it's mostly for the vocals from Ronnie Spector and the girls and Phil Spector's production. Just really love the arrangement on this. I love like the ding a ling a ling a ling dong ding. It's just a really well done performance, and whenever I hear it, it gets me in the Christmas spirit for sure. So really great performance.
Yeah, what's also interesting about his version, they took out a lot of like they took out a lot of vocals for that's usually in Sleigh Ride. Like they took out like the giddy up, let's go.
And
That's all.
you know what's funny? You said that. That didn't even cross my mind at all. That's not even in there because
It's
I just
not.
enjoy it like by itself.
I
Yeah,
think he
that's
did a
amazing.
really good job of taking out those lyrics and replacing it with, like I said, like the great arrangement. The Cal Blaine kills it on the drums,
Hmm.
horns and all that are great. It is arguably I would say the definitive version of that song.
Yeah.
That's the definitive version. That's the one that gets stuck in my head every time I hear it, man. There's
Yeah.
not that's just like almost maybe one of the Christmas songs. Just Christmas song. Spectre killed it, man.
All right, one song left for each of us. So, what's it going to be, Riley?
Well, I'm always been a big fan of new wave. I love the use of synths. And I think this song came out in the 80s.
Hmm.
It's not Wonderful Christmas Time though. It's Christmas Rapping by the Waitresses. And I think this is one of those ones that I kind of didn't think it was a Christmas song growing up as a kid. I just kind of like thought of it as like a new wave poppy song. Like great use of guitar. There's not a lot of synths in this one actually, but there is like cool guitar work on it. It's just one of those well-written pop songs. I'm like, I feel like if they actually changed up the words, it would have been a hit regardless. I love the good use of guitar on it. I love the horns. It's so freaking cool. It reminds me of oh my God, what band was it? I'm thinking I forgot the name of the band, but I'm sure I'll like think of it within the next couple of minutes. I'll interrupt whoever's talking and be like, oh, that's the band. But yeah, Christmas Rapping Other Waitresses is just like super hooky, very well written. And like it was bound to be just a great song. Our House by Madness. That's what it reminds me of.
Oh, okay.
But it's just one of those great 80s pop songs, and I think it's just a great song in general, and one of my favorites around the holidays.
Yeah, it's definitely different. I know I was listening to it again on your radio show the other day, and I really quite enjoy it. It's a different vibe. They're the same band that did I Know What Boys Like, right?
I think so.
But yeah, no, it's a very interesting song, and I quite enjoy it. It's different.
I've definitely heard it, but I have to give it another listen because it's been a while. But I've definitely heard the song. I think I saw it on some Christmas playlist, and I was going through, so it definitely has. I've heard it at least once. So, all right, Matt, last song for you.
Gonna have to go with my boys. NSYNC's Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. I have made no qualms. I really do like NSYNC. They're a very nostalgic group for me just because my sister grew up listening to a lot of that teen pop song. I think they did a really nice job of making like an anthemic Christmas song here. They have like the nice church choir in there, actually a local choir from around here in Orlando. It's a very upbeat, moving song. It's a very catchy pop song. It's kind of become a little bit of kind of like a minor, I would say, modern Christmas classic. I know that Pentatonix has done a version of it, ugh, but I know so has David Archuleta and a couple other artists. I really enjoy it. I think it's a very, like I said, it's very like it kind of has like that nice little. It's very optimistic and it's very feel good, and I think it captures kind of like that brief period of like kind of like that brief period between like the fall of the Berlin Wall and like the end of the Soviet Union, but before like 9/11 came and kind of changed everything. Like that brief period of like late 90s optimism. I think it captures it very, very well.
I'll give it a listen for sure.
I really like it. I don't know if it would be up your guys' alley, but I really enjoy it.
All right. So my last selection here. So I'm split between two. My heart is saying to go with Christmas Time Is Here from the Vince Guaraldi Trio, but I also want to maybe get a more modern representation on our list. So I'm going to go with Underneath the Tree by Kelly Clarkson. I think it's a very well done kind of tribute to like the 60s kind of Spectre sound. It's kind of going for that retro sound that the girl groups had with like the Ronettes and the Crystals. And I think it's really well done. I think Kelly does really good vocals on it. I think it's just a well-written song. It has a great chorus, great verse melody. And yeah, I think for me, what really does it for me is kind of that retro sound, the production that it has. And obviously she's a great singer as well. So I think it's a really well done song, and it's a way to get a more recent Christmas song on our list that I feel like a lot of people do enjoy. That's one of the ones that I think, a lot of people say for Christmas songs, a lot of the classics that everyone comes back to are like, songs from like the 50s, the 60s, even up to the 80s, where like this is one I could see still getting played like 20, 30 years from now. So I think it's a really well done song.
I'm not the I like some Kelly Clarkson stuff. I wouldn't call myself a massive fan of hers. I do really enjoy the Breakaway album if you're familiar with that one, but she has an amazing voice. I mean, I'm sure if you've seen her karaoke stuff on her talk show, she can sing a lot of anything. And
yeah, I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of her either, to be honest with you. I don't listen to her outside of this song, but like I think this is a really well done song. So.
I liked a lot of the songs she did on Breakaway, like Since You've Been Gone, Behind These Hazel Eyes, Because of You.
They're fun karaoke songs. I've done them in karaoke. So,
but yeah, she does definitely sing the hell of this song. And I never really thought about it. You're right, but it does kind of have like that 60s Spectre vibe to it. So I think that's a really cool choice. And I like that that's kind of why I chose NSYNC too. I wanted something a little bit more modern, not just like really old stuff.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta be honest though. I mean, coming from a guy who has a 21 song Christmas playlist that's only an hour for the entire like month of December. I don't know, man. I've never been like a huge Christmas guy. Like I mean, in terms like I love the holiday, but I mean, like in terms of it's always been kind of hard for me. I kind of have like my favorites.
Yeah.
I like the classics. I like Bing Crosby. I mean, if we went on and on, I easily could have thrown on like White Christmas or Blue Christmas by Elvis. I like the classics. I feel like for me, Christmas captures a lot of nostalgia, like as a holiday. It reminds me of being a kid. And it's hard to like capture that if I hear a freaking Sabrina Carpenter's nonsense Christmas. It's like
I saw like 10 copies of that at the record store.
Yeah, dude, it's probably shit. Like no wonder there's 10 copies of it. Like nobody's fucking buying that. You serious?
Yeah, I couldn't find Spectre, so you might have a point.
But so they're those songs are classics for a reason. They're just I feel like Christmas songs more than any other song are like the best have already been written. And it's hard to capture that nostalgic magic from like the 40s, 50s, 60s, even some of the 70s ones, like we said by the Eagles that Matt mentioned. I mean, I think there's obviously still some really good ones. Like I mean, yeah, the fucking what's the Mariah Carey one is a classic for a reason. It's like objectively good song.
Yeah,
it's fantastic songwriting. It's just it's like Stairway to Heaven, overplayed. And the Kelly Clarkson one's pretty good. If I heard the NSYNC one, I would probably recognize it definitely, but. Yeah, I feel like it's really hard to capture the nostalgia with a lot of like the newer ones. So I can't say I could put.
Yeah, because when I think of like more modern Christmas songs, I think of like Justin Bieber's Mistletoe. That doesn't really feel nostalgic to me. It feels very modern, which I don't hate it. I think it's fine, but you're right. It doesn't capture the nostalgia.
Riley, Taylor Swift's Christmas Tree Farm.
Fuck off.
I saw like so many copies of that. Or there's another one I actually found. This is a more modern one, and this was a big song in the UK. It wasn't big here. It's called. I actually found it from the movie Saltburn. It's called. It's like Have a Cheeky Christmas by the Cheeky Girls, which was kind of like a novelty act. And it's like 1, 2, Santa Claus is coming. 3,
oh
4,
God,
filling up my stocking. They weren't particularly good singers. I think they just had like nice asses. That's why they were popular.
A Good Timin Christmas album goes as follows. I didn't really give a good order, but here's our songs. Little Saint Nick by the Beach Boys. Happy Xmas War is Over by John Lennon, Last Christmas by Wham, Please Come Home for Christmas by the Eagles, Christmas Island by Jimmy Buffett, Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas by Judy Garland, Driving Home for Christmas by Chris Ray, O Tannenbaum by the Vince Guaraldi Trio, Oh Holy Night by the Eric Cartman, uh, Christmas Baby, Please Come Home by Darlene Love, Run Rudolph Run by Chuck Berry, All I Want for Christmas Is You, not the Mariah Carey version, but the Vince Vance and the Valiants, Sleigh Ride by the Ronettes, Christmas Wrapping by the Waitresses, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays by NSYNC, and Underneath the Tree by Kelly Clarkson.
I think that sounds like a pretty eclectic mix that I think reflects all of our tastes very well.
Yeah, it does. It's a good
A good
variety.
collection of songs, man. It's
Yeah.
that could be sold as a compilation, I think.
Yeah, I like that it's a lot of variety. Like as much as I love like the Spectre and those old timey ones, I didn't want to just overload it with old timey stuff. We got some new wave in there. We got some pop. We got some good throwback stuff. We got some humor with the South Park. I like it.
Yeah. Before we wrap up, do you guys have any other songs that you wanted to shout out, or a Christmas song that you don't like at all? Like maybe your least favorite Christmas song, a song that you like cannot.
Oh, Jake, don't open up the can of worms.
I'll do both. I'll get my thoughts out of the way so I can let you guys rant or whatever you want to do. For me, a couple I wanted to shout out real quick that didn't make my list. Step Into Christmas, Elton John. I think that's a fun little catchy song. Wonderful Christmas Time by Paul McCartney. I'm a little surprised it didn't come up. I was thinking maybe Riley would mention it because I know you like.
I was trying to trick you into thinking I would do it, and then I did Christmas Wrapping by the Waitresses.
I was thinking about putting that one in too, but then earlier before we started this, I was like, let me put the Oh Holy Night Cartman.
It was on my list, Jake. You know what, man? Like that was another one where I was like, oh, I hate this, and then I was like, all right, it's pretty good.
It's one of those songs where I appreciate it, but I can see why it gets on people's nerves. Like
the syncopation of the synths on that one part, though. Once you notice it, you don't unnotice it.
I will say the best description I've ever heard of that song. They said it's like if you buy a Casio keyboard from Radio Shack and this is the first song you write on Christmas Day. Best description I've ever heard of that song.
It's good. I like it. I like the production on it. I really appreciate Paul using 80s new wave synth technology to write a Christmas song. I think that was very creative of him.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like I think that's one. Honestly, it gets overplayed a little bit more too.
Yeah. The other one I wanted to mention, Christmas Time All Over Again by Tom Petty, I think it's a really cool song as well. That's on one of those like big compilations of those albums they did where it's a bunch of different artists included. So in terms of least favorite Christmas songs, I do not like Santa Baby by Madonna. I think her cover of it is not good. And I do not like the Chipmunks Christmas song. I think it gets irritating very quickly. I think there's some charm in it the first time you hear it, but with repeated listening, it starts to get very grating.
Yeah, once that movie came out, it kind of ruined it.
Yeah.
Alvin!
That was a #1 hit, believe it or not.
Have you heard the Chipmunks Punk?
I didn't realize how old that song was until recently.
Oh, yeah.
I like the Chipmunks sing the Beatles. That I think is kind of cute. I think Kurt Cobain loved that album too. It kind of has a cult following because of that. I'll go real quick. So a couple ones I wanted to shout out. The Eurythmics version of Winter Wonderland. It's on that same album. So that was the very special Christmas that Jimmy Iovine put together for the Special Olympics. It's on the same album as the Madonna Santa Baby, which, yeah, she does not sing a good. Eartha Kitt is the only version of that song as far as I'm concerned. But I really like the Eurythmics Winter Wonderland. It kind of has like that synthy atmospheric vibe similar to like Wonderful Christmas Time and Last Christmas. And I think Annie Lennox, just her voice suits it very, very well. Obviously Elvis's Blue Christmas, classic. Beautiful song. He sings it well. It's very moving. David Bowie and Bing Crosby's Little Drummer Boy Peace on Earth. I feel like it shouldn't work, but it really
that's my same thought. I was like, this shouldn't work, man.
It shouldn't work, but it does. Prince did a Christmas song as the B-side to I think it was the B-side to I Would Die for You, called Another Lonely Christmas. That's a very moving song. It's obviously very depressing. It's about his lover that's died, and he's like, I'll drink banana daiquiris till I'm blind. You won't hear my tears. Another lonely Christmas is mine. So, Prince really like bringing on the heartache with that one. That's why I didn't put it on our list. I'm like, this is just too depressing. That's probably it for now that I could think of that I really wanted to highlight. As far as my least favorite, I Want a Hippopotamus for Christmas. I can't stand that song. I can't stand the stupid Christmas donkey song either.
It's Dominic the donkey.
Fuck that song. That song makes me want to like go in a rant. Like I hate that fucking song. It just makes me.
How about Grandma got run over by
Honestly,
Oh no,
I
no, no,
honestly don't
no, no,
mind that
no,
song.
no.
I don't love it, but I don't mind it. The other two,
I'm fine with it. I think
I'm
it's
fine
stupid,
with
but
it.
I
Yeah.
think it's fun.
I'm fine
See, if
with
I
it.
want stupid Christmas songs, I'll listen to Child of Winter, not that shit, man.
No, I can take Grandma Gone Over my Reindeer. I don't love it, but I can deal with that. But the donkey one just makes me like see red. I hate that song. It's so annoying. Oh, another one. I want to shout out a good one. Nat King Cole, the Christmas song. Children's Earth, Wind and Fire.
That's a classic.
That's a classic. He sings the
Yeah.
hell out. That is just so good.
All right, Riley, any songs you want?
So you know me, you know me and my big old Christmas playlist. If there was one song I really wish I could have squeezed into our little playlist, it would be Bruce Springsteen's version of Santa Claus is Coming to Town. That's another one I listen to with my dad on the car rides in the winter. Big favorite. I always got hyped. It has that similar energy as Run Rudolph Run, where it's just pure rock and roll poured into a Christmas song, which I really love. I think the boss always brings the energy. Some of the ones I do like that I have on my playlist, just because they're classics, Jingle Bell Rock. It's just a classic Christmas song, great vibes to it. I've always been a fan of it. Rock Around the Christmas Tree, of course. We Feliz Navidad. I know that one's overplayed, but another one, it just brings the energy, man.
Yeah, that one's overplayed, but it's fun.
It's overplayed, but I think that's rightfully so. It's not one that starts getting played November 1st. It has its place in the Christmas music canon. Mele Kalikimaka by Jimmy Buffett. That's another one I would have squeezed down there. I think Jimmy Buffett has a great Christmas album that it's like Kokomo Christmas. It shouldn't work, but it absolutely does. There's another song on that album called actually let me see. Forgot what it's called. Ho 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 and a Bottle of Rum's a fun one. Again, not a song I would ever think I'd like, but Jake probably knows that one.
I don't, but I want to listen to it.
Listen to the whole album. There's one more he had. I forgot the name of it. Oh, Up on the Housetop is a fun one. He does a good job with that one. He actually changes up some of the lyrics, talking about like if Santa went down the chimney, he'd probably burn his ass. I don't know if that's the right song, but it's
Yeah.
check out the Christmas Island album from 1996 by Jimmy Buffett. Definitely worth a listen. I shouldn't like that one, but I do. It's Kokomo Christmas, and if you can put aside like your pretentious music taste, like Pet Sounds kind of shit, Radiohead kind of mindset, you will enjoy that album. It's a good fun. Jimmy Buffett brings the energy. Other Christmas music. Santa Claus is Coming to Town. I already mentioned the Bruce Springsteen one, but the Jackson 5 one's also a classic.
Mm-hmm.
Dean Martin's Let It Snow is fun. I've always been a fan of that one. It's another just Christmas classic. And you know what, man? The entire Charlie Brown Christmas album, worth a listen. If there was 3 Christmas albums I could only listen to, Beach Boys, Spectre, and Charlie Brown. Just old nostalgic vibe.
Yeah.
Two other ones I want to give a shout out to. Stevie Wonder, Someday at Christmas, and Donny Hathaway This Christmas.
That's a good one too. Yeah. Riley, is there a song you hate? Christmas song you do not like at all?
There's quite a few, man. I'll be honest. It's not, and there's some I guess I don't hate. I just never really got I never really understood like the hype for them. A lot of the ones that came out like in the late 2000s, early 2010s, that like not a big fan of Ariana Grande's Christmas stuff. Like I think she's a talented vocalist, but I kind of got sick of her voice after a while, and I understand it. Like some of it's like solid songwriting, but it doesn't bring the kind of kind of feels that I want from a Christmas song. Uh, I haven't even listened to Nonsense Christmas. I don't think I want to. I heard she did a lot of covers with like some artists, and I've seen clips. They don't have the same emotion and energy that the originals did, and it's like you're beating a dead horse, man. It's just I don't want to hear the 20th thousandth cover of Last Christmas by Wham, man. It's just...
What do we think of Do They Know It's Christmas? Because I know that's a divisive song.
I think it's well intentioned. I think it
is. The Band-Aid one?
Yes.
The chorus on that song is so fucking good.
Chorus is good. Production is good.
I think Bono does a solid job. I just wish that it was just recorded by a single artist.
Here's my
should have rearranged it. I think the songwriting is there. I think Bono did a solid job with what he could. I think I love Bono. I'm a pretty solid fan of U2. I just wish, like Matt said, the intentions are there, but they should have re-recorded it with just one artist in mind rather than like a whole group.
Yeah, I think it's well intentioned, but some of it comes across as pretty damn tone deaf. But I get like it was supposed to be for like, the famine in Ethiopia. I also just think the whole Live Aid thing, unfortunately, the money ended up going to weapons, which is terrible. I will say it is a hell of a lot better than We Are the World, which I genuinely think is an awful song.
Oh yeah, they're night and day. Those
What
two
saves
songs.
We Are the World is who's singing on it. And honestly, Prince was right to not go to that song. It sucks. It honestly sucks. I know people would
You ever see
criticize
Bob Dylan during the We Are the World sessions?
you and me.
Oh, that's classic. I love that. His faces. Yeah.
He's
I
just
would
like,
say like what saves that song for me is some people do sing the hell of it. Like I think Cyndi Lauper sings the hell out of We Are the World. Like her part is really good, but like as a whole, it's just a horrible. Someone said it sounded like a Pepsi commercial. It does. It's just
One more I wanted to mention before we wrap up in terms of a very entertaining in like a cringy sort of way. Listen to Michael Bublé's Santa Baby if you want a good laugh. I won't even describe it, but just everybody just give it a listen if you want a good laugh.
oh no,
as I said earlier, I have a very low tolerance for Michael Bublé's Christmas album in general. I just do not care for it at all. It's
He
like
changes the lyrics to Santa Buddy and Santa Poppy at multiple points, so that gives you an idea of what we're dealing with here.
crooner
So
without. I said it like before. He's like a crooner without soul. It's like why would you listen to a?
I feel when I hear his music, I feel like I'm in a mall. That's how I feel. All right, so we should wrap it up there. So thank you everybody for listening to this 41st episode of Good Timin. I hope you all enjoyed the show. I'd like to say that it has been a great pleasure for all of us to bring you this Christmas album episode. We hope you'll treasure it the way we do. And if you happen to be listening to this episode right now, me, Riley, Matt, and Nate would like to wish every one of you a very happy holidays. And we hope the new year brings you as much happiness as this year has brought us. So thank you very much.
It's a checkered flag on a Daytona Beach.
Yeah.
Is this our 1 year anniversary? Is it our 1 year anniversary?
It is.
Right.
We are now past our 1 year anniversary of the show.
Jesus Christ. Holy shit.
I wanted to say thank you to all of the listeners who have been supporting us for the past year. It's been a crazy year. Ups and downs for me, definitely. I can't speak for my co-host, but finding this podcast, this has been it's been a lot of fun. We made some great memories, and just thank you all for the support. And stick around. We got some more things coming in the new year for you.
More shenanigans, more rants, more bullshit, more fun. We're never gonna end, ever. The greatest podcast that ever existed. There's none like us. There's none like us to ever exist. But thanks. This is fun. I like doing this. I love seeing all the comments. Keep commenting. I'll be like bored, like doing my schoolwork or something. And I'll just open up a new tab on my computer, go to YouTube, go to our channel. I'll see the comments. I'll see something really funny. I'll see some good ideas. And it always makes me happy to see those comments because it means that our useless Beach Boys knowledge isn't so useless after all. So thank you guys.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel about it. It's like that was kind of the motivation to start this was, to share my useless Beach Boys knowledge and, to meet fun, good people and chat about my favorite bands. So it's been a lot of fun. Appreciate all the support. Like Riley said, it's so cool to see all the comments. I try to respond to as many as I can. And keep suggesting episode ideas. We love to hear your guys' opinions on different suggestions for where we can take the show next. So if you have any suggestions, feel free to share them with us because we're always open to new ideas. So as always, if you like this podcast and want to hear more, feel free to subscribe or follow wherever you're listening. We greatly appreciate the support as it motivates us to make more episodes in the future. Also, as a reminder, the Good Timin podcast is available on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. So there's plenty of different places to listen and keep up with the show. So thank you again, everybody, for listening, and we will see you all next time. Bye-bye.